Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Yak Gadget. For all your kayak fishing accessory needs, go to yakgadget.com. Pelican cases, coolers, and lighting. Go to pelican.com. The 153 Bait Company. For all your hard and soft bait needs, go to the153anglers.com. Now let's get this show started.
Welcome back to the Reel Down, everybody. What's going on? I'm your host, as usual, Jimmy. Anybody checking us out on YouTube already sees a familiar face, Mr. Dan Perry. Welcome back, dude. What's up?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. For anybody that hasn't been following along, Dan has came out of hiding and came back to Paddle and Fin. Not the Reel Down 100%, but he is going to be co-hosting one of our new shows covering the I don't even know what the official name is. I know it's the Fantasy League, but I don't know if there's a new like twisted name for it, like
I don't know.
and Fantasy whatever. But yeah, so most of y'all probably caught on to that last night. We had a live show on that, and then Miss Susie Roloff and Drew Gregory hopped on over to KBN, talked about it with them a little bit, just to let as many folks know about it. But yeah, you'll be seeing him again. Dan's probably going to be hopping in with me some here too, since Drew's got the new baby and got all sorts of stuff, getting ready for the big season and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Where you been? How you been?
Good. Yeah, man. Just living a dream, doing what I do. Had COVID a couple weeks ago. Finally, if you hear me coughing, I'm sorry, but still getting over that, the lingering cough.
Yeah, dude, the lingering effects of it are kind of annoying. The cough, the headaches, it's kind of stupid. But did everybody in your house get it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Like my kid, he was sick today. As soon as my wife picked him up, he threw up in the parking lot because he had a headache. It's still. I mean, we're past it, but it's just weird how just a little bit of it sticks with you,
Yeah. Well, so
not to start off on a bad foot or anything.
No. I mean, I ain't got to talk to you much, man. I want to hear how the family's doing. Hear what you've been up to.
Yeah,
well, have you done any fishing lately? I think you showed us a picture out on the water. How'd that go?
Yeah, I went last week and I went to Logan Martin. I did okay. I caught a few, no bigs. I mean, Logan Martin's not really a big fish lake, but I just went out there and threw a flat side and did a jig around some docks. I went out for 4 hours before it started storming and did okay. Caught a few.
Did you hit the lower end or did you go up north?
Kind of middle. Middle section, I mean, I fish all of it. Seems like the middle section has good fish usually. The lower section has more fish, and the upper section is either like home run or zero. So
I haven't got to experience the northern end. I've been on that lake twice. Got a lot of experience on the middle and the deep southern end of it both times. And when I was there with you for the Bassmaster event, the northern end was moving like 15, 20 miles an hour. I let all y'all have all of that y'all wanted.
Yeah, it was about like me and the guy I fished with that day. We were moving 5 miles an hour without pedaling.
That's crazy.
It's seriously over 5 miles an hour. But they were. I mean, we in practice we sacked them up, and then tournament comes around. They open a spill gate, and for some reason, whenever they open that spill gate, I didn't know it, but that just totally killed the bite. Even though the water looked the same, and the current seemed the same, and the color was the same, and the conditions were the same. Something about opening that spill gate just turned them off up there. But yeah, you can hero or zero up front, up north. There was a lot of people during that event. Christine Fisher and Russ Snyders, and there were a lot of sticks up there fishing.
Yeah. Well, other than that, man, I know we're getting into, seasons are starting to come back around. Local clubs are starting to get ready for, seasons starting. Some have already started. What have you been? I know you do, quite a few things. You run a club. Well, you're on a board that running a club in Birmingham, Iron City Kayak Anglers. You follow around, travel and fish some of these tournaments. Well, what all you been getting ready for? What you got planned for this year?
And my first one coming up is February 12th, the Rattle Trap Tournament on Gunnersville.
Yeah.
If you love throwing a trap, or I mean, they sell square bills and medium divers, just need cranks. It's only $50, but I'm staying with the gang crew, uh, Sam Cox and and Luke Turner.
Uh,
Yeah, we're
another one of
staying.
y'all running around screaming gang gang.
Yeah, gang.
Nah.
So, like California has a dark horse division. Coleman has gang. Uh, so yeah, I'm staying with them knuckleheads. That should be fun. I happen to have this special spot on Gunnersville pre-spawn that if the water's low and the boats can't get to it, it's like, oh
Lights out.
Lord, it's yeah. Then I'm not going to say I'm going to win, but I mean I got a damn good chance to win as long as the water's not high. But you show up and who knows? I've only seen one other. I have seen one fiberglass boat back there before, which I mean you're really risking your lower unit to do that. And I've seen a duck boat, with a Go Devil on it, and or whatever that mud motor is.
Yeah, one of the mud motors.
Yeah, and every now and then you'll see like a aluminum. I've seen two aluminum boats back there, but last year I caught 8.3 and like just
I
go out
wondered if
there.
this was that spot you're talking about.
I don't know. In like half an hour, you can catch 90 inches. So, yeah, we'll see. It could be good, but it might be too early.
And
Might be boats back there.
this is the first time they're doing a kayak division to this tournament, right?
Yeah, and
Because this is the Bill Lewis Rattle Trap tournament that they always have on Gunnersville, but this is a kayak division.
yeah, Steve Owens is running. Which I mean, if Steve runs as
What
good
is
a
Steve O not running?
yeah. But he always does a great job with his tournaments. And one of the cool things at the end, not only is there going to be a pot, like, you're fishing for a pot like usual, but and you have to use rattle trap only baits. But there's also going to be a deal at the end where, and I think this is right, where they're going to take all the boaters, the top 3 boaters and the top 3 kayak guys, and they're going to make the boaters, they'll have their own division, but also they're going to measure their fish up, and whoever has the biggest stringer out of boats and kayaks wins like a $500 gift card.
Sweet.
So like an extra side pot, whoever has the longest stringer. So
oh man, I hope the kayak guys come.
Yeah, me too.
I hope you and like Randall Wallace and some of the Gunnersville sticks that we know, like Steve-O, some of the
John
Tennessee
Leslie.
guys.
Yeah.
I hope y'all go down there and show out just to make the boat guys look bad.
Yeah.
Nothing but
That would
love,
be awesome.
but just be like, hey, respect us.
Yeah. It depends. It's been so cold that like this a couple of days I've got to go to Raleigh and it's supposed to snow. Like I'm getting alerts on my phone like it's going to snow. It might interrupt your flight plans, and I already don't want to go. And then I don't want to get stuck in Raleigh. Nothing against Raleigh, but I'd just rather be at the house than some in North Carolina. But it should be a good tournament though.
I know it's been cold, but I know that guys have been already catching them on traps out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening a little bit and looking at some of the results. I might want to give Adam Reiser a call. He come by and stayed here the other night when it was supposed to snow because he was going out, taking a client out on a guide trip on Gunnersville Monday. He didn't want to get.
He was out there yesterday and today. Yeah, he said that they caught a bunch of them yesterday. He was on the show last night, and we were talking to him afterwards, and yeah, he did good. So
heck yeah. Well, so we got that tournament coming up. What are you doing anything on the national level this year? You gonna hit any of the Hobies or bass events or?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely doing. I've never won AOY. I've gotten close with my local, with Iron City. So this year it looks like it's going to work out to where I could fish all the tournaments, and that's always a problem. Is I'm 2 or 3, at least 2 of them shy usually. So this year I'm going to make a run at that. There's such great anglers. It's like I won one of the events last year. So yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely doing KFL. That's going to take up part of the season, even though it's not that many weeks. That'll take up part of my season, and then, but I have a big gap in between like February and June to where I could fish some national trails. I went to a doctor today. I'm gonna have to have a sign of surgery, so that'll put me out probably 3 weeks. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of opportunity for 2 or 3, and we're going to Disney, taking the kid to Disney, spending all that money, you know? But,
You're gonna have
we're
to win
going
a
there
tournament
for
to recoup some money.
yeah, exactly. We're going there first week of March, so probably Rattle Trap tournament, first week of March, we'll go to Disney, and then surgery. So April, May, whatever events are in April, May, or I'll probably fish 2 national trails in that time, and maybe one later in the year. Pickwick, I think Bass is coming to Pickwick, or
Yeah, they're coming back, and I think it's around the same time it was last year.
yeah, last year I did okay. Pickwick, I mean, Bass paid out so many people, I cashed a check, but it's really disappointing because I love Pickwick so much, and I just couldn't get the offshore. Although I love to fish offshore, I couldn't get that offshore bite kind of in the areas I fished. I saw a bunch down there, but just it's hard to get on a good you got to get on a good milk run, and I just wasn't hitting them at the right time. So I did okay, and that was fine. But I definitely like some redemption because but I love Pickwick so much. I should be able to get a top.
That's me too, man. I think I had a chance at it based off my pre-fishing, and then
Yeah,
I've talked about it before. Just a couple things didn't work out that were out of my hands on tournament day, but like now I know that there wasn't a lot of folks fighting for that spot in the tournament. Um, and I now know that when we come up to that tournament, I will call that person that was there that was not in the event and make sure they stay away that weekend.
yeah,
But I definitely want to, and it's one of those things. I think I'm going to gamble with. I kind of want to try and make it work there, just because I know that it has the potential. Like I 100% think that spot could have at least top 5, top 10 to that tournament if it
yeah,
hadn't got beat on the night before by non-competitors.
yeah.
So I kind of want to see if it'll. And that spot's like historically good, so I
Yeah.
think there'd be a chance at it.
And there was like I found something at the end of the day. That was the first tournament that ever I wished I had a motor because, Iron City, my local, and until this year, until 2022, nobody in Alabama allowed motors. So down here, motors just aren't, they're just not as prevalent as
Yeah,
they
it's just
are
not the thing.
in the
Yeah.
Midwest and North and things like that. But that was the first tournament because I did figure out something towards the end of the day that I think if I could have had a motor and I mean, I have a fast kayak, I have a Predator. I love my kayak, but I just even though it's fast, I just couldn't cover enough water, and I gave it everything I had, and when
Well, and you
actually
like
shouldn't
you
have,
went so long the day before. Like I
yeah,
remember when you pre-fished, man, you came in like limping, knees swole up. I mean, you had covered some water. So I mean,
yeah.
I feel like you were already at a disadvantage going into the next day.
Bruh, I am not a skinny guy, but I absolutely get it. Like I ran cross country in high school. Like I'm not a sprinter, but I am absolutely long distance guy, and I can get after it pretty good.
For
But
sure.
at some point, you can only cover so much water, even if I'm going 4 miles an hour and I go 12 miles a day, 15 miles a day, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just not enough. And that day, I even changed spots at the end of the day and went and caught an 18. I drove like 45 minutes to the under the end of the lake and caught a 15 just to give me my fifth fish, but an 18 to get my fifth fish. I think my biggest fish that day. But you know, if I would have had a motor, I could have definitely covered a lot more water and
Oh yeah.
with what I figured out, done better. But you know,
I definitely wish I'd had one, man. I ended up my area is close to a couple of offshore spots too. I mean, close enough that you can spend 20, 30 minutes, get out there in the middle of the lake on some of those ledges and stuff.
yeah,
And I don't know if you remember, it was hot that day, like
yeah.
stupid hot. And
Oh yeah,
I left
remember.
the safety of my shaded area and crossed the lake. And like when I was figured out that I couldn't make that offshore bite work, I was trying to come back and was like getting lightheaded and like I could only go 2, 3 minutes, have to stop. And I was like, oh great, this is what this is like heat exhaustion is what this is.
Yeah,
And I just after that was at like 11:30. After that drained you so bad I just didn't care anymore. I mean, I was still fishing, but I mean, who knows how many opportunities I could have had if I was like actually focused still,
yeah.
but that's whatever. That's the past. I'm looking for
Yeah.
redemption, like you said, this year, man. I can't wait to get back over there on Pickwick, and I don't know if I'm gonna do much local stuff this year. they're our trail's dabbling going up to Tennessee to fish with Steve-O's group
Yeah,
at
check 'em out.
Chickamauga.
TBK. Yeah.
May do that one. But yeah, you mentioned the KFL stuff for if we've got any new listeners to this getting into the tournament scene, which I know we do because I've had a bunch of messages and stuff. Folks curious about how it works on the local level, even national stuff. If they don't know about what KFL is, because it's still relatively new, this is only the second year coming up, and give us a rundown on that and like what you're doing with it, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think this year it's in 2021 it was 17 teams. This year it went up to I think 26 or 28. We got there's a few different. There's two. Think of it like the NFL. That's how it's ran. The playoffs are ran the same way. So there's a North and a South, NFC, AFC. And for KFL it's North and South, and there's different divisions, like 4 divisions in each one. So you're like I'm in the Southeast division, which is us, Southern Slayers, which is like a Alabama, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia team. Alabama Hammers, who we were on last year, but this year me and Colin McGowan made our own team, Coosa Kingfishers. So that's 3. You got 2 Florida teams, the Sunshine State Swamp Donkeys, Florida Copperheads, yeah, South Carolina Punishers or Palmetto Punishers, and then North Carolina Tar Heels. I think they're in it too in our division. But you play the people in your division, and whoever comes out on top, whoever has the best record at the end, kind of gets 1 week off, a bye week, and then the championship's going to be on Chickamauga, where the champions from the North and South play each other. Last year we got top 4. There's not like a third or a fourth. It's just like top 4. We lost to Lone Star Bandits in Texas, where we did great. We had like 200 inches because it's top 10 fish for a team. Anybody can catch them on your team. One person could catch all 10, or one person could catch 0. Top 10 fish stringer from your day, from your 4 people. So your team, so let me back up a little bit. Your team can have 8 people. 4 people play each week. So you have starters and people on the bench for that week. And it can be decided however you want. The people who run the team, they decide. A lot of times it's going to be availability. Like we have Jordan Marshall on our team, and he might have to go fish a Hobie because he wants to defend his AOY title. So he's going to stay. He wouldn't fish that week. So we would put in somebody else. So a lot of times availability, but it might be like if we're going to Florida and we have grass guys on the team, then we're going to send people who specialize, who are better at grass. If we have somebody who's better at creeks and rivers and moving water, then we would send them to, like, let's say we're playing against West Virginia, the Appalachian Anglers. If we were going against them, then we would send them to that. So, yeah, you could have a well-rounded team of 8 people, and then you play 4 people a week. It's 4 home games, 4 away, and whoever's on top at the end of the year wins. Like, I think they're going to get like $40,000 as first place this year. So yeah, there's 3 Bells Outfitters stepped up, and I think there's some. I'm not sure if they've all been announced, but I know there's some other big companies that are putting in a lot of money this year. So yeah, $40,000-$50,000 is to be to the winning team. And it's only $1,500 a team sign up. So yeah, the payouts.
So is that $1,500 go towards it as well?
Yeah, yeah, that's part of it as well. So yeah, way over 100% payback, and yeah, you get. I guess kind of the benefit of it is if you're really good at getting sponsors, it's easier to get sponsors as a team than it is a person. For most of us, if you're, Christine Fisher, people who are really good at getting sponsors and high-end paying sponsors. But for most of us, we're on discount. Like I have 2 or 3 sponsors who I stay with, and I work with them, but they're not paying me. And that's okay. I work with them. I feel like I get a good deal, and I'm giving them value, and they're giving me good value. I'm giving them good return, but I'm not, I work. I'm not Christine Fisher out on the road fishing every tournament. So, so obviously I should not be getting paid like she should. So, but whenever you're a team and you have 8 people on your team, as long as there's not conflicting things, like one of our sponsors, Dugout Bait and Tackle, and they're awesome. but I personally have Summerland Outdoors. That's a shop that I'm with. So I'm the only person on my team who has a conflict with that. So that's why I think Coley, Jordan, no, we have a few different people on the team who are already sponsored by Dugout. So it was a good fit because we have anglers from their team, and I was the only one that wouldn't. So although I can't post stuff on them, our team account can, plus 7 other people. So people, it's really just a better value for companies, I think, and maybe that's why it's better, easier to get sponsors as a team than it is a person. So yeah, we've been lucky enough. I work for Ram Tool. I'm a buyer. I buy a bunch of construction stuff. It's like I mean, I'll shout them out right now, but Ram Tools Construction Supply Company. They're based here in Birmingham, and it's kind of like Lowe's except for commercial. So a regular person can't have an account and go into Ram. We have 46 stores all across the Midwest and South. But a company, if you're a plumber, electrician, you go into Ram Tool and you order some stuff, and I buy stuff for them. Well, they're nice enough that they're going to be our title sponsor this year, so they paid for our entry fee. They paid our $1,500, plus we have Dugout and some other sponsors as well. So yeah, we have some money that's going. Not only do we not have to pay entry fee as anglers, but we also have some of our expenses paid for housing and things like that. Whenever we do have to go fish, us 4 away games and some playoff games, hopefully, if we make it that far, Lord willing. Yeah, so it's really good. Like it's helping me to fish and have an opportunity to make a lot of money and not have
for
to,
sure.
yeah,
I
not
was
have
just
to
about
put
to
up entry
say, with that kind of support in it, it'd be something that could probably interest me in the future, just because, you get a part of a team, or like, let's say, just like hypothetically, like, let's say a spot opened up on your team and you were like, hey, do you want to do this? And I could be like, yeah, well, you've already got that. So it's making fishing easier for me by
Yeah,
making it affordable, because like, I'm like you, man, I work, and I run my own business, and it's great most of the time, but sometimes you just have to be, there. I can't just always throw it down. No, that's really cool.
but there's
I
like
didn't.
there's some other teams like if you look at Derek Brendel, him and Matthew Connett's team, they Massachusetts Maulers. Not only did they win first place last year, but they've have so much money in sponsor money this year that they're paying their anglers to fish each week. So
Wow.
yeah, they're actually getting money to go fish every week. So us, we have enough money to help with some of the housing, and we still have to pay some, but we have a formula to where the people who are, and this is obviously up to each team how they want to spend their money, but we have a formula to where the people who fish the most and put out the most money are also potentially going to get the most back in winnings at the end of the year if we were to win some money. So we're not keeping any money, me and Coley, and we've shown all of our guys this is how we're going to pay you out. We're very upfront with all the money that we have, and yeah, that's how we've decided to do it. But there's some other teams that are able to pay their anglers each week that they fish, so that's pretty crazy.
No, that is.
Yeah. So no
It's
matter what, you have an opportunity to win a bunch of money at the end of the year, but you're actually getting paid to fish, and there's not too many kayak anglers who can actually say that.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, it's cool, it's new.
Yeah.
It seems to pique my interest a little more each time. Definitely wasn't when you first, asked me about it, wanted to know if I wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
Definitely just didn't seem like it's my cup of tea, but as things change, uh, like, I don't think I could ever be in a position to do kayak fishing serious enough to get to. I mean, you look at guys that are years ahead of me now. You Russ, Christine, Jody, all these people
Yeah.
that have tons and tons and years of experience. Like, even if I was to get to that overnight, I'm still so behind the curve. I have so many other obligations. It's just like, that's why, it's always a big hats off to guys you see in the boat circuit, the guys that are chasing the opens and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Sure, some of those guys get a little bit of sponsor backing and stuff like that, but I mean, you hear the stories, man, how
Oh
much
yeah.
tournaments cost. One derby for only elite levels, like $5,000 in entry fees. It's $2,000 in gas. That's the boat gas for the tournament, and then you got the travel expenses and a house, and it's just, and a lot of these guys, like I'm going back to the opens and stuff like that. I mean, most of these guys still have jobs.
Yeah.
They're some of them are playing with having really good amounts of PTO, and some of them, you're just hoping that you can cash a check to make up the money you're missing at work,
Yeah.
and that's
It's
just
like,
right there turns me off of. I love this, and it would be cool to do it for a living. That's not what I would want to do this in this industry for a living. It would be cooler to do it from a side like Drew was doing, like TV, or a successful YouTube channel, or marketing for a company or something. That interests me way more. But something like KFL, like you're talking about, maybe you know if as that grows a little bit and interest comes up, maybe joining the team might make sense, even if it's just so I don't have to pay to fish. Really cool though, man.
and I would say that, and that's probably one of the biggest digs on it, where, and it's, very fair. If you look at me in my situation, man, I love where I live. I love my family. I'm just not going to be a road warrior. The reality for me is I want to fish as much as I can. I take it as seriously as I can. I think whenever I go out, I can compete with anybody. Some of my national level stuff hasn't shown that, but I truly feel that in my heart, and I do it locally, and I've done well. I've done well out of a boat. I've done well out of a kayak, but dude, I'm never going to be the guy on the road. I'm never going to be Christine, Jody, Cody, Eric, all these people that are doing it every weekend. That's not me. So the reality for me is I fish my local stuff. I help run that. I help organize it. And I go out and do some national stuff every now and then. But the KFL gives me the opportunity to lessen my expenses, to be able to get to do my hobby. I'm having some of my expenses paid. And
Yeah.
last year we got third/fourth place, and we won some money. That's awesome. And it's the best time I've ever had fishing. And I learned, I'm not trying to hype up KFL. It's what I enjoyed. I enjoyed it last year, so we're trying it again this year. So I'm not trying to sell anybody on it. I'm truly not. I can say for me, the guys I fished with, like, are really good at like creek fishing, or they're really good at things that I'm not. So getting to hear somebody say exactly what's going on the same body of water, the same day, the same, what they're doing differently, they're having success and I'm not. It's not like you came back to the house after a day of a tournament and your buddy's kind of telling you most of the truth, but maybe not all the truth, because you got day two coming. This is people at the same time telling you exactly what's going on because they want you to be successful. And dude,
Team dynamic, yeah.
yeah, it's like light bulbs. You're like, oh man, how did I miss that bite? Or how did, maybe I'm on something and they're not. Or I learned so much last year from people that are excellent anglers. It was a huge growth opportunity for me fishing. So yeah, not only did I have fun, I learned probably more than I ever have fishing before in one season.
That's kind of the same reason that me and Brian are kind of attacking it together this year. Brian's a great angler by himself.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian's one of these guys that, I mean, all of y'all know him for the podcast, and he's a funny
He can catch
guy. And
one.
no, man, Brian's a good
Yeah.
angler, and he showed it. I mean, he cashed checks in the Pro Series with KBF when they did the FLW or whatever that thing was called,
Yeah. Up on
and
Nicotin.
yeah, like Brian's a good angler, so it's not helping. It's probably not benefiting him, us doing it together, as much as it's benefiting me to, you know, it always helps me to have ping off of people, you know, like not necessarily like have a game plan together and attack, but like we each will have our own game plan. But being able to, like, me and him were talking today, talking about the weather, like me and you were talking about. And I was like, man, if this throws them in a weird, funky transition stage, I was like, it's going to mess up like my confidence in what I know. And he's like, well, I can show you what to look for if we get down there and that's the deal. I can show you, this is where they go when this happens. And this, I don't know. It's just like you're talking about the team dynamic and learning a lot. This is going to help me versus I love being in a house with people. Me and you shared a house. It was really fun. And that was probably my best house experience. because we were
Yeah.
all just so
It was
chill.
chill.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of old men just fishing. It was fantastic. Nobody was hyped up. Really, we had a great time.
I partied my 10 years in the military. I don't need any
You're
more,
good.
going out and drinking the night before a tournament.
I mean, I went
I'm
out
I'm
drinking, but it
past
wasn't
that.
like we didn't bring it back to the house and go crazy.
Yeah.
And none of us seemed to be in each other's heads. Everybody was talking to each other about what was going on, how we were doing. Like we were trying to help Frank out because Frank was working and couldn't free fish.
Yeah.
And in Texas, you got the head games in the house, like you said. How much of the truth is he telling you? Oh, he's
Yes.
completely lying and that just messes with me.
Yeah.
And so doing
Uh,
it like this, I think will be good.
dock talk is bad, and you can't catch somebody else's fish. So if they're giving you information and it doesn't jive with how you fish, it hurts you. But having people that you trust and actually talking to them and being open with them, I think most great anglers that are out there, making money doing this, whether it's pro level or kayak level or pro kayak anglers, PKAs, I think those people usually have a good circle of people that they really trust and can talk to, I think that's just kind of built in whenever you're on a KFL team.
Yeah. And that's something I hope to get to do more of is, find those like you've talked about it before about like oh my lord, is it Chuck that's your fishing buddy
Mhm.
around like
Yeah.
local? I'm
Chuck,
hoping
shout out
to
Chuck Wise. That's
yeah,
good.
but I'm hoping to get back into that where like this year with me and Brian, we're gonna attack the same tournaments. You know, that way we know each other, we know you know how each other is at the house. You know, you can work off of each other. He fishes one style, I fish completely different, so we can kind of feed off of it. And I'd like to expand on that in the future. Maybe next year we have like a 4 or 5 person paddle and fin house or something like that. Get Doo to come up because Doo's a hammer just about
Oh Lord.
everywhere he's on the water.
Y'all should be lucky he doesn't just fish freshwater, because everybody would be in trouble. That dude is
Everybody
so
would be.
good.
I think that he is probably from the freshwater side one of the names that's underrated in Texas. Everybody knows he's a hammer at saltwater, but I
Yeah.
promise you he can just swap lures and do the same thing with freshwater fish, man. He's
Yeah.
killer.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could be
he's
cool.
definitely one of the most underrated anglers and like in the country, that if
I'll
he
tell you
shows up
this
to a
right now,
tournament.
he's probably one of the best marketing anglers I've ever seen.
Oh
My
man,
man's sponsored by a dealership, like
he is
cool jerseys, new trucks, and boat
speaking
wraps. And
speaking of him, Dustin, he is sponsored by Three Bells, who's sponsoring KFL. They're in New England. And I mean, they ship kayaks out. They're nationwide, and they're an online dealer. But he's in Texas, sponsored by a New England company. That's pretty high. Like that's how good he is. But any company, I'm not. That's not a negative or a dig. I'm saying that any company that could get. He's on Torpedo. He's a regional team manager for Jackson. Anybody that can get Dustin Nichols on your team, like
dude,
you should have him on your team,
he
because
is
he
an
is
asset.
amazing. Yeah, same Brad Hicks. There's a lot of guys who are. I don't even know how they get some of these shots. They're so good at
I was just about to
photography.
say Dustin's photography because he showed me some of
Oh,
his
dude.
stuff when he came to Del Hollow. Because I thought he had help on. I mean, he does
No, he
occasionally.
like has a stick, and
Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of
he
his
does.
shots that
He
looks like
is
a
so
photographer
good.
took is
Yeah,
his setup taking it for him. I mean, and Brad is the same way, man. Brad Hicks,
yeah,
shout out to Brad over there at the Final Cast. He is a he doesn't take it as serious, but he is a phenomenal river angler.
yeah.
Catches smallies all year in the river, and he's another one that if you have him on your team, he's
Yeah,
going to
you're
be the
going to
guy
get
that
some
gives you
great
the best
content.
coverage.
Yeah,
Great content, and he has content like he backlogs content. I remember he told me one time we were talking about it because I was trying to get a couple tips on it, and this is in like March or April last year. And he said that he had enough backlogged content that he could not fish the rest of the year and still post on the same pace that he was posting. And I mean, that's a few times a week.
yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, that's two people that if you want to look at two people and see who's doing it right on the photography side. I mean, JD DeRozier. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of people out here that are doing it right. But two of our paddling fin guys, Brad and Dustin, they know what they're doing.
Doo-doo's the man.
Yeah, he
Also,
really is.
catch out their shows. So you heard me say it. The Final Cast is Brad, little
Yeah.
gear review, and go
Chasing
check
the
out
Tide.
Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols. For all you saltwater anglers, that's a rabbit hole I can't get in because I can't afford another hobby. I really want to, but
I'm from the coast, and man, they just have better fish in Texas than they do in Mississippi. Because the fish down Mississippi Gulf Coast, it's terrible in comparison. Like we drive to Louisiana, or we go so far south. Like my dad I grew up fishing saltwater out of a bay boat. We would go straight south, and we would go so far south that we would be in Louisiana. Because the boot of Louisiana is
yeah,
below Mississippi. So eventually we're just down there in a 17, we're 22 miles out in a 17-foot bay boat, and we end up in Louisiana. So yeah,
that's awesome.
that was scary too.
Well,
I've seen things.
Give us a just because I mentioned at the beginning, for anybody that hasn't caught it, give us a little rundown of the fantasy league stuff that it's Drew and Ken's child that Paddle and Fin's taken over. Give us just a rundown of what it is and how it works, and of course everybody listening or watching, if you want to get all the details, you can go back to that show. But here's just a little teaser.
Yeah, there were KBN. They were both good shows. I listened to them both. But really, if you did kayak fit and you want to do it soon, or you're going to be behind, because in 2 weeks you got Kissimmee, the whole KFL trail, KBF trail, day 1, 2, and the 10, and Timbitation. I guess there's Timbitation.
Yeah, 10. It's day 1, day 2. 10 Invitationals going on at the same time, and the 10 and the Pro Series is going on too. I don't really think
Pro Series on top. Yeah.
I don't know how that would work with y'all's fantasy setup because
but all of them are. So what it is, last year it was set it and forget it. You set a KFL fantasy team, and that was your team for all year. Adam Reiser actually won, and he's going to get like a Pelican. He's going to get a bunch of prizes from Drew and Pelican and Mossy Oak Fishing. He's about to get a big giant prize pack, and we're also going to do prizes this year at the end of each quarter. People who did the best, I think it's top 3 at the end of each quarter, and people at the end of the year overall are also going to win prizes from Pelican. So they make the coolers and the cases and things like that. Pelican is as good as it gets. That Yeti stuff's nice, but I'd rather have a Pelican. And Gadget, we're on the team, but they're going to put up some stuff, and we're still trying to get some other sponsors to put up some stuff as well. But what it is this year is every single week there's going to be 4 quarters, and we can look at the dates and all that, but you can go to Paddle and Fin /fantasy, and you can look at it there, and there's a link to sign up on Fantasizer. But every week you're going to have a different team. So it's kind of like daily DFS if you're into fantasy football, things like that, fantasy baseball, where you have a certain amount of money. All these anglers are worth a certain amount, and you build your team. And whenever you run out of money, you run out. So I think you get 50,000. Like Guillermo this year, he won 70,000. All of it's based on money. So and you can go back and look how everybody did last year. And there's a big spreadsheet. You can look at that. But like Guillermo, he won $70,000 last year. So I think his cost is $25,000. He was number 1 angler of the year, money wise. So he's $25,000. So that would, if you have $50,000, a $50,000 budget, then you spent half your budget on the best angler from last year. So there you go. But instead of doing it one time a year and you just set your team, every week you're going to get points. So I think Friday night at 10 o'clock, your team's going to lock. And then through the weekend, that tournament, you'll get your points from that. And then on Tuesday, it'll open back up, and then you can get your team for the next week. So, so every week, there's not a lot of overlapping weeks, but you can go on Fishing Chaos for this KBF event. You can go on there, you can see all the people that's fishing, and choose 5 people from fantasy fishing, put them on your team, and you're locked in for that week. You take those points, you go in next week, and you do it over and over and over. And then at the end of the quarter and end of the year, boom, you get prizes. So
I mean, who doesn't like free stuff? And it's cool.
Exactly. I love free stuff. And I am eligible. So I'm just saying, I am doing the fantasy team, but I'm gonna win me a cooler. So y'all bitches best really be trying because I'm going. I need a cooler, and I'm gonna get me one of the Pelican coolers. So that's
See,
cool.
I had no interest in it. It's because I don't fantasy football. I've done fantasy
No, I
hockey
do. Yeah.
one time, and it wasn't the full fantasy like player picking. It was the NHL playoffs. Uh, Buddies of mine asked me if I wanted to join in. I hopped in. I had. I'm trying to remember. I can't. I know I won our group, but I came in 111th out of like 1,300,000 participants. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, not top 100, but a million plus people.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
so I
had
mean,
both.
it's
I have
fun.
2 fantasy leagues this year, and I got second in both, which,
Ah,
yeah, there. But,
but the
yeah, they're good. But it's if you've done Bassmaster before, it's kind of the same thing, except they only have 8 events, and theirs is just you pick people from each tier. So it'd be like A group, B group, depending on
yeah,
who's doing the best that year. And we're going to do the same thing after each quarter. We're going to reevaluate the prices on people. So let's say Guillermo. I mean, I hope the guy has a great season. Well, I'm not going to say any person because I don't want to jinx anybody. So if somebody, well, Brad Case, he got hurt, so he's not going to be fishing for a while. So maybe going into a second quarter, we'll drop him down from where he's at because he had a great year last year. But his first quarter he was out, so we'll probably drop him down a little bit to make him more, you know,
affordable.
yeah, more affordable.
And
So
see,
there.
these new little things that y'all are doing with it's what's piqued my interest because I didn't want to pick 4 guys and hold them all year, 5. So you think you could have up to 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Depending on how you spent your money.
And you
Um,
can have less people. So if you want, like, instead of having a whole 6 people, you can, if you think 3, you want Guillermo, Christine, and somebody else, then you can just pick 3 people. So if you think they're locked in to win money, then you just chose, like with this the KBF event on Kissimmee, Wes Snyder's had a great tournament last year, and he's in the 10. So
and then
that would be if
some
you want, yeah, if you think he's get
me
locked, he
yeah,
is locked in the 10. He's going to win money.
right.
So yeah,
So strategically, that's what I was getting at. Like for example, for this event, he's a good pick. He's going to be one of your more expensive picks because he did pretty good last year, so
he
he's going to be
flipped his
higher up
boat
there.
and still won.
Yeah,
That guy's so ridiculous.
he's on a different level.
Yeah.
But like looking at it strategically, things you could think about would be Josh Stewart.
Mhm.
Josh Stewart didn't have you know a killer year last year, so I don't know what he costs, but he's probably you know cheaper than the very top $20,000 anglers. He's in the 10 house again, and he always seems to do good in Florida.
And I
So
mean, you could figure with a cold front supposed to be coming through during the tournament, Cinco guy. I mean,
yeah,
this
place that the
could be his
Cinco
year.
makes money, and I mean, and he is the Cinco guy.
Yeah.
So but that's the kind of stuff I was getting at, man. It's got me kind of interested. I think I'm gonna sign up for it and just play with it. I think it'll be cool to see how it looks at the end of the year this year versus I mean, Adam. I'm not saying this will take Adam out of it. Adam won it all last year. Adam might be somebody tough to beat again this year because now he knows a lot of these people on a very close personal level, and he knows where all these people are really good at. So he's going to play that to his advantage. His team's going to be swapping up a lot. So
I think some of it too is just going to be like if you don't change your team will stay the same. But it's going to be following up every week and seeing who. Okay, this week it's KBF. This week it's Hobie. Who's going into Tourney X and seeing who's actually fishing, and it's what it's going to do. It's going to bring a lot of traffic to people's accounts, like
oh
to
yeah.
your social media, like Russ Snyder's, or let's say who's somebody who posts a lot, like we'll say Jimmy McClarkin. He's in the 10 this year. You can follow him, and on Friday, you're like, "Ooh, he's been on him in practice. I gotta pick him. He's my guy." So yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a boon on social media because you're going to have more hits, people following your social media if they're really getting into the kayak fishing. So, and Drew said last night that one thing we hadn't really thought about is that might push people to put more stuff out on social media, and it might push people to sign up sooner for tournaments because
Hmm.
you're going to get more people if somebody's I can't wait till Friday to sign up for a tournament, to sign up for fantasy fishing. I'm on Monday, and I want to go ahead and knock my fantasy fishing out this week. If you're not signed up by Monday, it'll make people want to sign up earlier. Is what I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
it's I don't want to say incentive, but it's kind of like
It's good
motivation.
for the trails. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great for the trails. I I've never had a problem with the cutoff dates with registration for that reason. Now, I mean, I think Bass's was a little extreme there in the beginning, but few days, I've always been cool with that. But yeah, I can't wait to like even if I decide not to do one, just because for the same reason you just said, keeping
You
up with it.
gotta do one.
Yeah, I might just try to wing it, pick my team and leave it, and
You're
then
on the reel down, dude. You talk to these people all the time. You've got as much,
I
you
really
know,
do have a really good head about like because I was thinking about it like the same reason you just said. I was like, man, there's no reason I shouldn't. I talk to a lot of these folks. I know who's good where and when. Like
just
I've
every
talked to
week.
these people for 2 years.
Yeah. And also we're going to have the show where it's if you're doing the after show where you're talking about sorry, if you're going to do a show after when people have won a tournament on our show, we're going to do a kayak fantasy league show every other week where we're going to be talking. It's kind of going to be a preview. So let's say we were doing one tonight and it was about the next tournaments coming up, KBF on Kissimmee, then we would say, then we would be talking to people who are going to be fishing that event, how we think it's going to play, what kind of anglers you should choose for your team. And I mean, it's a little bit different down in Florida, but if you're going to Gunnersville in the summer, it could be the grass guys, the creek guys, the offshore guys. Like which pattern do you think is going to play the most? So we're going to be kind of previewing a lot of tournaments. So that'll be fun too.
No, that's great. It's cool that there's a reason and a way to do it now because I know people have asked me if the reel down could do that, and it's kind of hard when before the fantasy thing because you know what tournaments are coming up. You have a general idea of who's fishing, but it just always seemed kind of not natural for me when I tried because I tried thinking up one of those shows once, and I just couldn't in my head make it work to make it interesting. But
Yeah.
with the fantasy side of it pushing that, it definitely I think it'll be one of those things that's again naturally just really good little pre-show. So
Yeah.
you'll hit y'all show for the pre-show and then hit ours for the post-show. Brian said it last night. Y'all will be having on or inviting on the person or people who have their good fantasy team going
Yeah. So yeah,
periodically.
you can not even let's say somebody's wife, like let's say my wife, because she did get 10th last year. I picked the team. But yeah, she got 10th. So she might come on the show this year, she might get more into it, pick a team, and then be asked to come on Paddle and Fin show because she had the best team of the quarter. So that'll be fun too. So
Mrs.
you'll
Perry, how did you make your picks?
yeah. I chose the most handsome guys. I hope she didn't hear that. That was not her at all. Sorry, babe.
Oh man. Well, heck yeah. Well, cool stuff coming up.
Yeah,
We're getting close to getting the tournament season kicked off. I know I'm excited to get down and get out of get out of Alabama, get out of this cold weather for a little bit.
yeah, for sure.
Go fishing new place. Never been to Florida for bass fishing. I'm flirting
It's
around the
nice having. Hey, you love Gunnersville, dude.
yeah. I
Oh, it's
mean,
so much fun.
some of my favorite anglers I like to watch, like Scott Martin and stuff like that, because of the grass, the punching, stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
always Florida. So for me, I'm kind of glad that Lake Fork didn't work out for us. We were looking at Lake Fork like, water's down, ramps are going to be out of play. And we were really trying to make that work in our head. And Brian was like, man, I just don't know if I want to drive 18 hours down there, come back and go back in like 3 weeks for the Harris Chain event or a month or whatever it is. And then one night he just texted me and was like, F it, let's just go to Kissimmee. And I was like, yes, let's just go to Kissimmee. But I've told the wife maybe it goes well. My goal is, top 25% of the fields, like goal 1. Well, goal 1, get a bite. Goal 2, find a pattern. Top 25% of the field in the trail. I'm not eligible for the Invitational or anything like that. I want that to happen, but I was telling my wife, if I screw up and cash a decent check there, I am not coming straight home. I am going to head to the Keys, and I want to catch a peacock bass. It has been on my list forever. I want to do it.
Holler at Nicholas Beltran down there.
That's what everybody said. Everybody was like, hit up Nicholas Beltran. He can help with that.
Yeah, he'll take
So,
it.
yeah,
Oh,
that's.
they're probably not that hard to catch. I mean, you just go down there and get in them canals and.
I watched videos of guys catching them in the canals off of. Actually, it was Chad Hoover's video. They were catching them standing on the side of the road over the canals. And I
I've
mean, I
heard
don't
they
even
were
have to
pretty.
catch a
They're
huge
pretty
one.
dumb. Yeah.
I just want to catch one. Like,
Yeah,
there's two
dude,
species
me
that are
too.
dominant down there. I just want to catch them.
Yeah.
And
The Mayan cichlid, is that what it is? The black one?
yeah, and then what do they call the other ones? I can't remember. I'll say it wrong. But real beautiful fish. Apparently they fight like per pound, way, way stronger than, a traditional bass.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe like that's what I really hope that happens. I hope to cash a check big enough I can decide to come back a day or two late, take that 3 or 4 hour extra drive down to the Keys. Even if I just drive down there, stand on the side of the road, catch one off the side of the road, just to got it off the list, and then head home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I want to do. I want to catch a peacock too. That'd be.
yeah, I would love to. I think it was Hobie Worlds went to Brazil.
Mm.
They went, may not have been Hobie World. I can't remember. There was a kayak tournament in Brazil somewhere just for peacock bass, and they were catching, the big peacock bass, and I was like, oh man, I want to do that. But yeah, we'll see. But back to what I was saying. The year's getting kicked off right. We've got KFL, KBF, Hobie. Everybody's getting ready to get started. Paddle and Finn's going to be down there on Del Hollow with Central Tennessee Kayak Anglers, helping them out with an event.
I'll be there for that too. Yeah.
Same. Come down and hang out with me and Dan. Show us a few spots out there. That'd be greatly appreciated. I don't know. I'm probably going to follow Riser around this time.
I'm drinking this time. Last time I got too serious and I was wanting to win the tournament so bad I didn't have any fun. And y'all all, everybody got lit and got to party, and I was asleep at like 8 o'clock like a loser. So
oh, dude, I did. I didn't know
I'm
where
having
you
fun
went.
this time.
Me and you shot smacked around a ping pong, had a good time.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, couldn't find Dan. Dan was already asleep, getting ready for a tournament.
Yeah,
but
I'm hardcore. I'm not even fishing a tournament. I'm just going to have fun.
Yeah, I don't think I'll sign up for the tournament.
Yeah.
I did say that my goal this year was the 2 or 3 times we've been down there, I always fished around the marina just because it's convenient, because my boat's already there. You paddle in and go eat and get a beer. I'm going to like cross Del Hollow, like force myself to make that extra hour drive just to go try some of the better parts of Del Hollow out for once.
I found a great area. We'll go fish. I found a great area. Whenever I went, I found them. It's I did okay in the tournament, but yeah, I found the fish, man.
Was that the tournament Riser won?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the same year?
Yeah, him and they were
his buddy from California.
Yeah, they were strolling a crankbait in 40 feet.
Yeah,
didn't see that one coming, but yeah.
Yeah, no one did.
Yeah.
Oh no, a lot of cool stuff happening this year. We're going to keep you with us along the way. Everybody be sure to tune in to all of our great shows. Catch the Reel Down every Wednesday morning, on all the podcast network, all the podcast hosting networks. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, all that great jazz. Again, welcome back, Dan. He's over there, pointing the wrong way. Make sure y'all check out that new fantasy show that's going to be popping up, and I'm sure we'll see Dano back over here covering some tournaments with me, because I don't know, me and you just do it good.
Sounds good, man.
Heck yeah. We got anything you want to say, man? Anybody you want to shout out real quick?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'll shout my guys out. Summerland Outdoors in Columbus, Georgia. If you need, especially rods, they start out as a rod shop. So if you need a rod, you need to go in there. If you can't find it anywhere else, Tackle Warehouse, dugout, wherever you're looking, check out Summerland Outdoors because they probably have it. They've got kayaks. They, it's like Hobie, Old Town, Jackson, and some of the more budgets like Three Fish, stuff like that. Yeah, great store, good people to do business with. X-Zone Lures, you can see them behind me. Like last year I kind of fought. This is my second year being with them. Last year I kind of fought some of the baits because you have your old favorites. And this year, if you look at my soft plastic tub, it's like almost all X-Zone. I've got just a couple of things. So yeah, like I'm 95% X-Zone this year. So I truly do love their stuff. Cross float. So I mean, that to me is a big deal. It's good enough for Brandon Polinick. It's good enough for me. Although they put his name on the bags, not his face on the bags, not mine.
You're
I
getting
need
there.
to talk to
You'll
somebody
get
about
there.
that. And yeah, and yeah, Gadget. Appreciate them too.
Yeah.
And by Power, my batteries, they make the best batteries. I don't care what anybody else says.
Yeah, no, I will always think I've used quite a few of them. Know a bunch of people that's tried a bunch of the ones that I don't, and Bioenno is top notch. Love their stuff.
If somebody's making a warranty longer than they've been a company, don't believe the warranty, people. Like, oh, they got a 15-year warranty. They got to be the best. They ain't been a company, but for 2 years, how do they know how long their battery is going to last? I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
saying,
a
like that. Yeah,
control group formula is all that is. It's garbage. Same thing they did with LED light bulbs. Not going down that freaking rabbit hole.
yeah.
Uh,
Don't believe all that hype on some
but
random
one thing
battery.
that we had, if you go back to the final cast episode that we had them on, he was telling us that like they had a control group they sent out, like I can't remember how many batteries, and they were saying this many charges, this many hours, years, whatever, and they had got like 3 years past that group and no one had had a single issue with them. And even though the life of those batteries should have been on their downturn, they were still they had them sent back in and tested, and they were expecting to see like 20 or 30% loss, and they had seen like I think it was like under 15% loss in that long of constant use. They're great batteries. I
Yeah.
left one the other day. I didn't realize that since August, when I stopped fishing, I left one plugged up in my kayak
Oh
until
no.
yesterday. I pulled it in here. It charged up in like 30 minutes. Fired my graph right back up. Had no problems. Like no low battery warnings. So great
Yeah.
stuff because I'm rough on stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
shout them out just because I never do it. I'm gonna give a quick shout out before we hop out of here. Music City Outdoors, Nashville,
There you go.
Tennessee. If you're on
Crescent kayaks, like that. The new, if you want a Crescent, get
call
that
us.
new Drew because we don't sell them, so I can say go get them at Music City. Hey, get you that new Drew Gregory Signature Series. Get it on pre-sale. Go up there and give them $500. Say I want the first Drew Gregory kayak to come in this son bitch.
You're
So
gonna
yeah,
be way down the list because many folks have done it, but uh that list is long in our shop. Everybody that has heard about it has come in. Well, I want that. But yeah, if you want, Crescent, Vibe, Voodoo, Hobie, Old Town, feel free. We carry them all. We're trying to get more of those brands in there. We want a little bit of everybody in the shop. Be Nashville's #1 kayak dealer. Actually, we are, and everybody in the area. We have customers all the time come down from Missouri, Indiana, Ohio, everywhere to come grab a boat. So give those folks some love. Come in, check out a boat if you want to, or come see us at the uh, Tennessee Fishing and Boat Expo, February 3rd, 4th, and 4th, 5th, and 6th. Come hang out with me. I will be there. If you go by the shop and I'm not there, tell them Jimmy sent you, and I'll hook you up.
there you
But,
go.
well, we appreciate everybody coming in this week, staying with us, just hanging out, talking with Dano again, and we will see everybody next week. We'll have a little bit of probably a short show. We're gonna record early because I leave to go to Florida on Tuesday, but we'll have a show next week for sure. But we'll see you then. Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out.